Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. So, like I usually do, just in case I'm on this live talking to myself, I like to just check to make sure I'm live on my end. And we'll get it started and we will see. Let's just make sure I'm live. All right. So, I'm live. And like I said, I always do is just in case nobody comes in, or if you're watching a replay, just to make sure it is up and live and available for you guys on YouTube. So happy Sunday. And if you guys don't know, I was gone last Sunday because the Super Bowl Sunday. Didn't know if anybody would kind of tune in for me on the Super Bowl Sunday because, people are celebrating their sports as far as football. But basically, tonight we are going to just talk about is this a good time to buy a house in this particular market? Where are the buyers going in this market, and what are happening too with the sellers? Because as we are hearing and as we are seeing, there is a lot of different conflicting information going on in the news. And again, we all know that real estate is local to your market, so real estate is very niche to your market. However, we can generalize the market as well, but we want to kind of talk about what we're seeing as far as overall in a vague point of view, and then I'll kind of break down a little bit of what we might be seeing down here in the Metro Atlanta area. If you are joining me live tonight, please don't be shy to say where you're tuning in from, and also please don't be shy to come into the comments, have conversation, and let's kind of dive into it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open it up in regards to a YouTube clip, and we'll watch this YouTube clip real quick, and then we'll go into some conversation around what they are saying. Hey, it's my dad from New Jersey. Hey, what's going on? So we're going to start by this clip, and then we'll get into conversation. Don't be scared again to say what you're feeling in the comments, have conversation, have dialogue. That's the reason why I do this YouTube channel, so we can all talk about real estate or whatever you're feeling, whatever questions you have. This is an opportunity to answer, to ask any questions while I'm on the live, and then also kind of just see what's happening. So let's first we'll dive into this clip that I had pulled up. So this particular clip is from a news report. Let me make sure I can see it on my screen. Okay, it's from a news report, and this was from the end of December 2024 into 2025, and they were talking about the housing market and also what they're seeing when it comes to things that are on the housing market. So let's check it out.
Redfin, a residential real estate broker, is reporting that the number of homes for sale in November hit their highest level since 2020. However, Redfin says a major reason for the increase in supply is, quote, a pileup of unsold homes, many of which buyers have deemed undesirable, end quote. Nationally, more than half of the home listings in November, 54.5%, sat on the market for at least 60 days without a buyer willing to sign a contract. That's the highest percentage since November of 2019. The average home was on the market for 43 days. That's the slowest pace, again, since November of 2019. Real estate agent Mimi Loggins of Portland, Oregon said, quote, a lot of listings on the market are either stale or uninhabitable. There's a lot of inventory, but it doesn't feel like enough, end quote. Loggins went on to say that the price is key. She says homes that are priced well and in good condition are selling in 3 to 5 days, but overpriced houses are sitting there for months. Big cities in Florida, such as Miami, Orlando, and Tampa, which have been hit by hurricanes and marred by high insurance costs, are listed as having the highest share of stale inventory. Major cities in Texas, including Austin and San Antonio, also made the top of the list. Mortgage rates are another factor, according to CoreLogic, a company that specializes in property information analytics. The company's chief economist says buyers are struggling to keep pace with housing prices, and the cost of owning a home is at its highest point in decades. As of the
hey, what's going on, David? So, David, if you guys don't know, David is a realtor out of the Omaha, Nebraska area. So, if you are in Omaha, give him a holler. Check out his YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe to his channel. And what's going on, Lang? So this whole live is about is this a great time to buy in the housing market? Where are the buyers going? What are we seeing as far as what's happening? That particular video I just showed was it kind of stemmed from November 2024 to December 2024 and then to January 2025. And there's been this big debate around the housing market, what is happening, what is going on, the uncertainty. Everybody has these questions around, should I buy in this market? So what I always tell people, again, is that the housing market is local, very local to your area, right? Lane said, great question. Is it the best time to purchase a home? Yes. So the housing market is local to your area. So what I tell people is the best thing to do, and come March, I think March 2nd, I believe we're going to have a financial advisor on the live. So hopefully she does come by and stop through. But the best thing is to sit down, look at your finances and see if this is a good time for you, because it's going to be very specific to you. It's going to be specific to your market, and it's going to be, can you sustain a mortgage, and are you comfortable enough if things should happen? So what I tell people to usually do is to first write on a piece of paper if you can, or you can put it in your brain, however you feel. Look at your payments, look at anything that you're receiving, whether it be payment wise, any type of debts that you're paying currently right now. So like you have, let's say, a student loan debt, let's say you have a car debt, let's say you have credit card debts, any type of debts you're paying, and then factor that into what a mortgage might cost for you to pay as well. So the best thing to do is, I say, it's very specific to you, right? This market, what I'm seeing, and I'm going to be honest, and I don't want to scare people off, this market is a very tough market. Okay, a lot of people might not be able to afford buying in this market, and you have to be realistic with yourself. Can I afford this market? Interest rates are higher, but it's not as high as they were back in, say, the 70s and the 80s per se, but they're very high compared to the housing prices, right? So with the higher housing prices and the interest rates being at a 6%, 7%, depending on what type of mortgage you're trying to carry, it might be a little higher than 7, depending if you're conventional, and it depends on like your credit, right? Your debt to income ratio, all those different factors that your lender can kind of talk to you about, or your mortgagor. So you will factor all that in, right? So to you, it might say, hey, is this the best time for me to buy right now? And also what they were saying, I'm going to pull this up too, in regards to home insurance and property taxes have been higher than ever as well. And that's making up almost half, close to half of close to half of your mortgage rates now. So let's see what this is saying as far as property taxes. And we're not going to read the whole thing, because the rest of it just kind of breaks down which states are kind of seeing higher property taxes. And again, this is somebody that I always tell people, talk to your local real estate professional, right? Because what people tend to do a lot is that we generalize. Like even me on here having this conversation tonight, right? I'm based out of the Georgia market currently. Even though I'm looking at the market in a totality, I don't know what is happening day to day, week to week, month to month in your particular market. So if you are looking to possibly buy, whether it may not be now, but in the future, if you do want to be a homeowner, talk to your real estate professional. Ask them to keep you up to date on what is happening, what is going on, and then kind of factor that into where you're at currently right now, right? So I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me make this a little bit bigger and we'll read this real quick. So what they're saying here, as far as if you guys don't know, property taxes and home insurance has kind of, inflated. So it says scores of homeowners are spending more on insurance and property taxes than they do on their mortgages, according to a troubling new study. Home insurance prices have skyrocketed as natural disasters and rising costs of repairs have driven up rates, while property taxes have surged as the value of homes have increased, according to an analyst by Intercontinental Exchange. The combination resulted in 32% of the average single-family mortgage payment in September going to property taxes and home insurance, the highest rate ever for data going back to 2014, the study found. So we're diving into now property taxes and home insurance. And what David said, he said 100%, it is a very tough market, especially for first-time home buyers. Exactly, David. For first-time home buyers, this market might not be the best space to enter. But again, I don't want to scare you guys from real estate. I just want to put kind of dissect it, right? And again, like I said, always talk to your local real estate professional. So I don't want to scare anybody from buying a home. I don't want to scare nobody from buying a home in the future. If you want to create home ownership, I would say in this market and in future markets, honestly, look for the deals. Look for the deals, right? And in this particular market, and I was kind of talking to my dad about this earlier on the phone. In this particular market, you're going to have to really search for the deals. You're going to have to go into, if you're looking to buy a house in this market, you're going to have to go in there and get your realtor to actually do some break down some comp analysis in your area. So find similar comparables to the homes in which closed recently within the last 3 to 6 months. You're also going to have to, what I like to do too, and sometimes you can ask your realtor to do this. They may or may not be able to access it, but if they can, say, hey, okay, this house on Zillow, you can kind of see it, right? You can kind of see how many homeowners were in the house. You can see when the last time the house was sold. So even if you just do on your own as your on your own back end as the customer or the client per se, if you just go on Zillow and say, okay, this house is, let's say somebody bought the house in 2022, it says on Zillow it closed at this amount in 2022, and now they're selling it in 2025. So then you would know automatically, you can say, tell your realtor, like, hey, I saw that this house closed in 2022. Would you happen to know the terms in which they closed on? Would you happen to know the loan in which, as far as the financing terms? And then on that, you can be like, would you happen to know where they might be, as far as when they bought the house mortgage wise? Because I know on my end, I don't know if every realtor has, can see it, but I feel like they can. You can go into public records, like on our end, we can go into public records and we can see. And this is what I do. If I see somebody bought a house a couple years ago and they have the house listed on the market again, I'll go in and I'll go to the back end. I'll say, okay, let me go to public records. They bought this house. The house sold for $280, but they got an FHA loan. They put down only 3.5%. It looks like their loan they was left with a loan around I don't know, it was 3.5% of that. Let me see. I don't want to be wrong because somebody gonna come on here and be the math wizard and correct me. So but again, this is just all taking a hypothetical guess, right? So 280,000 times that by 3.5%. So that's about $9,800. So 280,000 minus $908,000. So that's $270,000. So their loan might be around, let's say, $270,000 when they bought it in 2022. Factor any other things they might have had going on. So what I kind of do is I kind of soften the loan a little bit. I'll say, okay, if 270, we'll say they might have started off at 268, 265. And then I'll be like, okay, it's been 3 years. How much would their typical payment be? How much would they pay within this time frame? Again, this is very estimating things to kind of figure out if they listed the home, say if they listed the home at 310, it's kind of figuring out too, how much wiggle room do you have where if you put an offer in this particular market or any market per se, would your offer kind of get accepted if you kind of went lower, right? So yes, you got to kind of know the ins and outs, really try to do it. To me, what I look at real estate as is almost like a math situation. So I kind of factor things out according like that. But I would definitely tell people to do those comparables, ask your realtor to do those comparables if the realtor can, and if again, it's going to be an estimated number because we don't know what the actual loan amount is that they have left on the house because only the seller would know that because they're paying their loan. But we can kind of look at the back end and kind of do an estimation of where it might be at. Also, I would say see if what type of owner are they? Are they a homeowner occupier? Are they an investor? As some investors might buy with cash. So if they buy with cash, what is the comparable scene in the area? What is the investor might be able to go for? So in this market, is it a great market to buy as a buyer? Again, it depends on your circumstances. However, it also depends on your market, but then it also depends on your comfortability as far as your monthly mortgage and your debts that you have and how much when you take home your net payment that you have to, because we talked about this before in another live, we don't want your mortgage to be 50% of your income. We don't even want it to be 40%. We wanted to get it down to like 30% if possible. We don't want you to be struggling out here in these streets as far as when it comes to markets. So let's also dive into this article on MSN. It also was the article was also in the Wall Street Journal, and it states, let's make this bigger so we can kind of see it. Let's make sure we don't click on it because I don't want to click off the page. So this particular article, it says, as buyers fail to show up, more homes are being pulled from sale. So this is like, where are the buyers at? Are the buyers out there? Are the buyers still buying? We know that the housing market is unaffordable. We know home prices are unaffordable. We know interest rates are are higher. They're not at all-time highs, but they're higher, right? Excuse me. So again, this comes down to a very generic thing. So it says an uptick in December delistings is the latest sign of dysfunction in America's housing market. Nearly 73,000 homes were pulled from sale after they failed to find a buyer in the final month of the last year. Data from real estate analytics firm CoreLogic show the listings tend to spike in the winter when fewer people are actively looking for a home, but the trend last December was unusually strong. So they're saying last December people were buying, so it was unusually strong last December. Hey, what's going on, Eddie? He said hit that. He said make sure y'all all hit the like button. Yes, please hit the like button so we can kind of shift this video through the algorithm. I appreciate you coming on, Eddie, checking it out. I was watching his wife's channel earlier, Christina Smallhorn. So if you guys don't know who she is, and if you don't follow her, I'm pretty sure most of the people follow her on YouTube. She is wonderful, a great real estate professional in Louisiana. So go over there, give her a view on all her videos, and also subscribe and like and comment for Christina, because we got to keep pushing all this valuable information through the algorithm for people who are seeking this type of knowledge. But it said, but the trend last December was unusually strong, representing almost 1 in 10 properties on the market and a 64% increase from the same month of 2023. So again, this is kind of diving back to the markets in 2023, 2024, but we're diving into 2025. But a lot of these articles are recounting the year prior because we're only in the beginning of 2025. Most sellers are pulling their homes only temporary and think they will have a stronger hand if they relist in the spring. But the jump in delisting indicates that much of the extra inventory that hit the housing market throughout 2024 set unsold, so had to be pulled in higher numbers come winter. It also suggests there is a bit more pent-up desire to sell than headline inventory figures would indicate. So they're basically saying like there is basically a pinned up demand where people want to sell their houses, but we might have people that have maybe no mortgages, or they want to possibly sell and downsize, or they possibly they need to relocate, or something happened in the family, somebody might have passed away, and or different things like that. So and then some people just want to probably get a fresh new start and they just want to sell their house, but they can't because they have a low interest rate and their mortgage is lower, and they like, can I afford this new mortgage? And I'll tell you guys a story, because I do all these lives according to things that happen in my real estate career, or I guess you could say the day-to-day that I deal with in real estate. And a lot of this stuff really goes hand in hand in what I talk about every day. And I know my dad, he'll probably, if he was on the live, he'd probably tell you guys I talk about this all the time with him. I know he probably sick of me talking about it with him. But anyway, it says the story of the U.S. housing market over the past few years has been that homeowners with cheap mortgages have stayed put, as they don't want to give up their ultra low rates, like we mentioned. Around 2/3 of borrowers are paying a mortgage rate less than 4%. This has strangled supply and pushed U.S. home values to record highs. So what it's saying is basically they're stating that because of the not that many homes being available on the market, people are pulling back their homes off the market, and there's not many homes per se on the market. I would say more on the resale side, depending on what state you're in. In Georgia, I know there's a lot of new construction going on down here. So on the new construction side, I would say that we have a market where we have, like, what I'm seeing is we have houses that, and new construction wise, that are built and they're sitting dormant with nobody in them. We have houses that are on the market, new construction that are coming to the market. And then we have new construction builders that are just breaking ground in the market down here in Georgia, in different areas of Georgia. Not every county has it going on, but in certain counties it does. And because of that, we have a higher level of months of supply when it comes to new construction, or new construction coming to the market, compared to resale. And then what I'm seeing resale wise, again, this is in Georgia, ask your professional where you're at, but what I'm seeing resale wise is that some of these resale homes that are popping up on the market, people are not, they're not making them presentable to sell. Like, they're putting them on the market. If they're home buyers that, sold their house and they're downsizing, they're not freshening up the house. I went in several houses today. It had the smell of pets in the house. So this homeowner had pets. There's nothing against pets. Love dogs. I'm not a fan of cats, but I love dogs. But again, this thing of you wanting to sell, you guys got to kind of, you can't just be like, let me put my house on the market because there's nothing available resale wise, and I'm not going to do anything to get the house ready. Like they're not painting the house no more. They don't care. They're not deodorizing the house. It's just ridiculous. And then you're getting investors that are coming buying houses. They're flipping them. They're not doing the best job when it comes to renovating these houses. So that's what's making the house sit longer too. And then after a while, you know, people will have to eventually, when you fail to do anything on the house or you fail to renovate the house in a good manner, the house will sit longer. With the house sitting longer, the way this market is going, I would tell buyers, if you're entering this market, I would definitely go lower. I would put it, if you see that happening, you see the house been sitting on the market for a while, for several months, and you go on the house and you see that there's like things that, like, whether, like I said, the house is not painted, you see holes in the wall, as for like cosmetic stuff as well, I would definitely say offer less on the house, because this, it's like you failed to get your house ready and to put your best foot forward, right? It says, but the lock-in effect is slowly fading as more people need to move for a job, to accommodate a growing family, or some other life event that can't be delayed indefinitely. In December, 1.15 million, I know that's not the right terminology to say, but homes were for sale in the U.S., a 16% increase from the same month of 2023, data from the National Association of Realtors show. So again, this data, we're going to kind of go off. We're not going to stay on track with this data because we're in 2025. Some of the data in 2023 does not correspond with what we're seeing now in 2025. There might have been uptick from 2023 and 2024, but we're in 2025 and we see that the market is, kind of rolling in another way from what I'm noticing. If any of the realtors come, or in the comments, if they're seeing something similar, please let me know as well. Or if you're watching the replay, please put in the comments as well. See if you're seeing it. Be honest, be transparent, be truthful about what we're seeing in the housing market, because we want to help, people. If people want to buy a house right now, we want to truthfully help them buy a house. And the purpose of us working in real estate is to help them not only buy a house, but maintain the house if possible for years to come. We don't want to put people in a bad position. We want to be honest. We want to be truthful of what we're seeing and what's really happening. Because there's a lot of people that I'm noticing, and it's not my my folks that kind of come over to this channel, but folks around me in my metropolitan area, there's a lot of real estate professionals that are lying, that are lying about the houses. I'm like, are you in the market? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because I'm confused. And people have to be mindful of that too. There are some realtors who hold license who are not actively engaged in the market, so just be mindful. Still, despite more properties being available, buyers were thin on the ground. Home sales in 2024 were at their lowest level in nearly 30 years. So see, they were going back to 2023 up in the earlier part of the article, but as we moved into 2024, we saw a decline in home sales. Home values have held up despite this weakening demand. So they're basically saying, even though there's been a weakening demand of buyers in the market to buy houses, the sellers have decided to remain very, I don't want to say greedy, but sturdy, stern, I guess you could say, as far as like, I'm not moving my prices. I'm keeping it here. This is what I want. And those are the ones that are sitting longer, because you need to adjust. You need to adjust. She said, so they said, at least so far, homeowners don't like to sell for less than their neighbors received, and aren't ready to adjust their expectations yet. And that's another thing that I've been seeing. And even like, again, realtors that I personally know, they are putting home prices. They're putting houses on the market at prices that don't make sense. And I'm like, and I don't want to be that naggy realtor, but I'll call some of these realtors and I'll say, I have a question. Where are you using your comparables? Where are you finding your comparables to justify the price of this listing? And of course, there could be other things going on, because I talked to one realtor and they were like, well, the seller bought the house a year ago. They don't have no equity in the space, but they need to move. So we have to put it at a certain price point, even though we see the market kind of trending down, softening, but they don't want to bring no money to the table. They already know that they're not going to break even per se. So sometimes that's why prices might be the way they are, and they might not make sense to the market. But I tell realtors, you can do this. You don't have to do this. I question everything. And so I know people get sick of me. I talk a lot. I question a lot of stuff. I research, I read. And so people don't like that because I come in with the whole mindset of where did you get that from? Why are you doing this? What is happening? Like I'm always questioning everything, which is it could be a problem on my, or it could be a bad thing on my end too. It could be a great thing on my end, but it also could be a bad thing on my end because I don't want to overanalyze everything either. But I just want to make sense of what was happening and what I'm doing, right? David said, we see the same thing in our market, plenty of new construction, more existing inventory, but at the lower price points, it is still a competitive market. And that's exactly what I'm seeing, David, too. I'm seeing at the lower price point, the more entry-level price point, I'm seeing a more competitive market. On the new constructions, I'm seeing a softening. I'm seeing new construction homes sitting longer. I'm seeing them giving more incentives, more buy downs on interest rates, more closing costs, paying your HOA, telling you, hey, take this money to buy down. You know, if they don't offer quote unquote buy downs, they might give you the money to buy down your rate. I'm seeing a lot of that with the new construction. And what you said too, as far as even resales, the ones that are popping up that are more expensive, they are sitting longer. And those resales that are in good condition, move-in ready, the market is still competitive. They on the lower end, the ones that people feel they can get into, the Gen Zers, the millennials, even the baby boomers, the silent generation per se, the Gen Xers, if they feel comfortable and they can get into space and they looked at their budget, they understand that, they put money aside. Because I always tell people too, right? When it comes to if you want to buy a house, and even in any market, because we can never time when is the right time to buy a house. So I don't, hopefully I didn't mislead people as far as this live as like, is this the great time to buy a house? I can't tell you when a great time is to buy your house. All I can tell you is what you should do to see if it's the good time for you to buy a house, which we stated earlier. Look at your finances, look at where you're at. Are you comfortable enough to be in this position? Make sure you don't spend but so much of your paycheck. So look at your other debts. Look at what's accumulating. Look at what you're trying to pay off. Look at, if you, be realistic. If you were to, because in this whole economy, what's happening right now, we're getting a lot of people getting laid off, right, from jobs. We're getting stores closing down. We're getting these big, these big heavy chain stores and these big companies that have been around for years. They're closing down, like the Macy's are shutting down more stores. You have Facebook, Meta released, let go some people. You have Amazon. You have all these, conglomerates and these corporations and these companies are letting go people. You have the U.S. The government has frozen the whole thing as far as hiring people. They're not hiring people. They're laying people off. So you want to be realistic, so to say like, hey, I see all this happening right now. Do I feel comfortable enough to be able to buy a house in this market, or do I wait? Do I wait to this whole situation that's happening, this debris kind of settles, right? And I can kind of see more clearly where I'm at currently, like where this market is at, where I'm at currently with my finances, because it's a very individual thing. Everybody's situation is different. So, but I definitely agree. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Hey, Christina. Christina says hello. Hey, Christina. I'm like, she was on live earlier when she was talking about home insurance and all those things. And we kind of talked about that earlier, but definitely, I appreciate you guys giving me a super chat. I'm like, this is the when you guys give super chat, David's giving some super chats. Thank you, Eddie and MH08. He's not here. A couple other people gave some super chats. That's the only money I see off of YouTube. I'm not monetized right now. I will hopefully one day be monetized on YouTube. I need 1,000 subscribers and more public view watches, but I appreciate you guys when you just donate a super chat to me. I really appreciate it. Because I work hard in real estate, y'all. I work so hard, Jesus. Lord Jesus, I work so hard. And I was telling my dad the other day, I'm sorry to go off topic. I was working with a client, and she had succumbed and decided to rent. And I was working with her for almost a year on the buyer side, and she decided to rent. And so if you guys don't know, you can work with a client in real estate for a long time. I've done it several times where I work with people for a year, like a year on end, 2 years on end per se. And then they have to succumb to the circumstances that, affect their lives or changes that happen. And then you don't see any type of, a monetary compensation from it. And I know people say, well, that's the risk you take as a realtor. And it is, but it also shows that, we out here, I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to pay my bills still. But anyway, let's get back to this. But I appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you for the super chat. Delistings are probably acting as a safety valve, allowing sellers to delay rather than accept a lower offer. So basically what they're saying is that peak sellers are willing to, like, let's say, take the house off the market and then relist it close to the spring so that they can still try to get their price. But prices for new homes have slipped. This is partly because units are being built smaller to keep them as affordable as possible for first-time buyers. But builders are struggling to sell homes, even though they are offering to buy down mortgage rates, which we talked about earlier. The number of completed and ready to occupy new homes rose 46% from a year earlier in December to 118,000 based on the data from the National Association of Home Builders. So again, with hey, what's going on, MH? Hey, what's going on, MH? Thanks for joining the live. So again, what David had said earlier, right here, where he said, we see the same thing in our market, plenty of new construction. So they're basically saying the new construction, these new homes have risen up to 46% from a year earlier. So there's kind of new construction, more new construction lingering on the market, right? And they want to unload this stuff, you know. It may turn out that December was an unusual weak month for the housing market. The rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage crept back towards 7% at the end of 2024. So that's 2024. We saw the rate kind of go up and down, up and down. It's kind of back around this high 6-7s now. Some buyers may hold off until it is clear where the economy is heading under a second Trump administration. So we touched on this a little bit earlier as well. But if delistings and unsold house builder inventory remain high over the coming months, it will be a bad sign for sellers. The share prices of single-family housing landlords, Invitation Homes, and American Homes for Rent already take a trade of 33% and 22% discounts to their net asset values, respectively, according to real estate analytics from Green Street, and an indicator that investors think the U.S. home prices are vulnerable to a correction. So again, they think that investors are looking at it the same way. MHOA said, "I'm a real estate junkie. You shouldn't have gotten into the business when I had a chance." Yeah, you should definitely, if you're a real estate junkie, you definitely should get into business. I don't never shy nobody away from jumping in real estate. There's so many aspects you can get into real estate. You don't have to be a realtor. You don't have to be a broker. You can, you can be on the management side. You can be on the investment side. You can be on the real estate side. There's so many different aspects to real estate. So if you're a real estate junkie and you feel like you still want to be in that space to jump in, I definitely say jump into it, and you just weigh your pros and your cons and see what makes sense to you and currently where you're at, right? He said, LOL, I'm old with a decent job. Okay. All right. Well, I want you to know that it's never too late. It's never too late to do anything in life. So he said, so it says the rise in the delistings also means there could be a shadow inventory of homes waiting to come onto the market as soon as volumes pick up. Okay, so that's what they're kind of saying in regards to that article. That there is definitely a shift happening, right? They are like, where are the buyers at right now? The sellers, what they're doing now is they're like, hey, I'm going to take my house off the market. The agent might have advised them to do so too. Like, hey, take your house off the market. Let's wait to the spring market to put the house back up. And I've seen this happen before too, where people will take their house off the market and then they'll put it back on the market at a higher price. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why are you just took your house off the market. Let's bring up a number. Let's say for $350. And then 2 months later, they put it back on the market for $380. He'd be like, where did you get this from? Meanwhile, the houses around the daggone way, the subdivision or the neighborhood is selling for like $320. And I'm like, I'm so confused. What is happening? What is happening? It's like, why take the house off the market if you're just going to go and jack up the price? And it don't make sense with the market. So it's crazy. All right, so now we're going to jump into this particular article that I found. And then we'll talk about, because I kind of want to touch on this whole thing as far as the investors and everything that's going on. And I had this conversation earlier with my dad in regards to like what is happening, what is really happening from my point of view is, what is happening in the market. And, and everybody, my opinion is different from everybody's, but I love that we all converse here on this channel and we all talk about what we're seeing and what we're feeling, right? It says 41 housing markets where inventory just tipped into favor of buyers. It says among the nation's 200 largest housing markets, these 41 metro areas now have active inventory at or above 2019 pre-pandemic levels. It says while home buyers and home sellers still see headlines about the housing market being a seller's market and the national home prices reaching all-time highs, a deeper look reveals that several regional housing markets have shifted, giving home buyers some power. So this, basically saying, what Lang said. She said, it's never too late to go into real estate, MHOA. Yeah, see, look, Lang even says, never too late, MHOA. It's never too late. It's so many aspects. During the pandemic housing boom from summer 2020 to spring 2022, the number of active homes for sale in most housing markets plummeted as home buyer demand quickly absorbed almost everything that came up for sale. Fast forward to the current housing market, in the places where the active inventory has rebounded to 2019 levels due to strained affordability suppressing buyer demand are now the very places where home buyers hold the most power. At the end of 2025, January 2025, national active inventory for sale was still 25% below 2019 levels. However, more and more regional markets are suppressing that threshold. Among the nation's 200 largest metro area housing markets, 41 markets ended January 2025 with more active homes for sale than they had in pre-pandemic January 2019. These are the places where home buyers will be able to find the most leverage or market balance in 2025. So a lot of it, I think, was Florida. So you see Florida here, Texas, so different areas in Florida, Texas. You got Colorado Springs, Colorado. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see. Can y'all see it? I might not be able to see it. Let me make it a little bit bigger to kind of see this chart. All right. So you have, let me see if you can see it. Okay, yeah. So you have Colorado, you have Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. That's kind of interesting. So it's kind of showing like the levels right here. It says January 2025 compared to pre-pandemic January 2019. So it's showing you how much was there as far as that and how much is there now. So they had in Florida, 2019 was 2,442. Now we're there at 4,147. But we all know what's happening in Florida, like the insurance carriers are pulling out. Some people are not being insured. We're also seeing, different disasters happening. I'm pretty sure probably next time they round up some of this, we might get a little bit of California on here too. I don't know. We have a lot of Texas as well. Texas, Colorado, Florida. We have Louisiana, which is interesting, New Orleans, however people say it. Florida, Colorado, again, Florida, a lot of Texas. So we have a lot of Texas, Florida, Alabama. We have Arizona. We have Utah, Oregon, Florida. So almost like the Western states. You're seeing more of it, the Western states. So let's see, it says many of the softest housing markets where home buyers have gained leverage are located in the Gulf Coast and the mountain western regions. These areas were among the nation's top pandemic boom towns, having experienced significant home price growth during the pandemic housing boom, which stretched housing fundamentals far beyond local income levels. So that is basically, so they're saying that in these particular areas, and I'm pretty sure you probably guys already know that a lot of the housing boom, or what we're kind of seeing now as far as where home buyers might have, the upper hand, is in that Florida, like they said, Texas, depending on like different cities in Texas and things like that. So let's take that off right here. And then what I want to show you guys too is they're saying there's 10 markets where Gen Zs, so people who are Gen Zs, because I know a lot of Gen Zs and also millennials, are saying like, I can't afford to buy a home. And even not even just millennials, everybody is saying, I can't afford to buy a home, right? So they're showing us markets, a couple markets where it might be affordable to buy a home. So we'll look at this. So again, that's why I say every market, that's why I tell you guys, is it a good time to buy a house? Where are the home buyers? It just depends on what market you're in, right? But also, again, look at your finances, y'all. Look, finances. We gotta start doing I'm like, no one, and I don't do it either. No one does like a check balance. What back in the day, like my grandma and all those people used to like balance their checkbooks and do all this stuff. And I have one realtor colleague that I really admire. She does like an Excel sheet where she kind of like like looks at our finances. So I like that. So you can see where you're at, So it says 10 markets where Gen Z can buy a home. Gen Z homeownership is highest in the Midwest for 2024. So they're saying in 2024, but they said that they published this in February 2025. So I guess they must be taking the data from 2024. And I don't know if this is spilling into 2025 now, but this is what they were saying then. The unprecedented rise in home prices and elevated mortgage rates that have dominated the market since 2021 have significantly impacted housing affordability, particularly for younger buyers. Despite these challenges, Gen Z is managing to enter the housing market. According to the CoreLogic loan application database, this generation's share of home purchase applications accounted for 13% of total applications in 2024, a third percentage point increase from 2023. Again, we need to know what's happening in 2025. But again, as we all know, data is behind. What does MH08 said? Nice home in Canorado? I don't know if I'm saying that. Canorado, Kansas for $85,000, but I doubt there are any jobs there. Yeah, so like that's the thing, right? Too. So that becomes the concern with some people too, right? Where the affordable houses might be at, it might not, maybe the type of job you want or the employment you want or the income per se might not go hand in hand. So it might be something, and I know we're kind of scaling back from a lot of like remote from home jobs or something, but you never know. You just never know. But yeah, you just don't know. The Midwest has predictable weather insurance. If you can get it, would be high. Yeah, like the home insurance. That's the thing that I was going to say too. I don't know if David still is on here, but I know David talks about their insurance stuff out in Nebraska, right? How it's a little higher because of the weather pattern. So that might be the difference, right? It might be like, okay, the homes are cheaper, the areas might be cheaper, but the weather pattern. So is the insurance higher? Where is the insurance? So it says Gen Z represents a higher portion of home buyers in the Midwestern markets, but a lower portion in more expensive coastal areas, which we know. It says metro areas based on the share of applications from Gen Z buyers in 2024 were Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska. So that was interesting. If David was seeing, they were seeing Gen Zers over in that Omaha, Nebraska. It says 21%. Youngstown, Ohio, 20%. Daytona, Ohio, 20%. And then it says Grand Rapids, Michigan, where one of my colleagues is at, where she's originally from, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, and I think we had talked about this in the office one day where she was saying like the home prices were still, I guess, a little affordable. I think so. I think she said that. So higher shares of Gen Z applications. In contrast, the more expensive coastal metro saw a lower proportion of Gen Z applicants. And California, of course, San Jose, San Francisco had the lowest percentage of Gen Zers. You also saw in Oxford, California, followed closely at 5%. Los Angeles, California, of course, urban Honolulu, Bridgeport, Connecticut, all saw Gen Z represent 6% of total purchases. Metropolitan areas with a high concentration of retirees also showed lower proportions. So this is kind of the map showing you where group one, and it's kind of showing you the different areas and where the percentage as far as the Gen Zers. So it's all, let's see if we go to Georgia. Georgia, it's not that much, but it says where are Gen Zers buying homes, where it's affordable. So these are the states that we kind of read off earlier, where some of the places are Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, with the MHOA. Colorado front range gets hammered with hell every spring. It's not if, but when. So yeah, so with that happening, MHOA, do you feel like your home insurance is very expensive? Are you seeing expensive home insurance prices when it comes to owning a home? Do you feel like that home insurance and even those property taxes per se, but more of the home insurance, because when you come to these Western states, right, these Midwestern states, they kind of get these weather patterns. So do you see like a bigger price point on home insurance? Because as I stated earlier, home insurance and even property taxes was up like 32%. I think it said earlier when we were kind of talking, as far as almost dang near half of the mortgage, right? And then it kind of saw like affordability attracts Gen Z or home buyers. So we know that, people, they do want to buy a home, but they need to find an affordable home. Lower medium prices, home prices in the Midwest may be empowering Gen Zers to purchase homes in the Midwestern states. Affordability in these areas is pronounced when compared to the rest of the country. The median house price in North Dakota was below $250,000 in 2024, while the national median was approximately $332,000. Many Gen Z or home buyers are single, but about 45% of applicants from this cohort had co-applicants in 2024, which means that the co-applicant could probably be maybe a friend, a family member, a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. The co-buyers may include, friends included, co-living arrangements, or parents who are co-signing. Recent studies indicate that Gen Z buyers are open to purchasing properties with friends. And so it kind of goes on and on. Well, I think that's the end of it, actually. So it's just saying like what's going on as far as when it comes to what they're seeing when it comes to these newer home buyers in the market. I'm going to tell you guys what I'm seeing, and then we'll kind of, jump off here if nobody has any other questions. I have a small home, so I don't feel it too much. These kind of there's kind of a hell alley, northwest suburbs and southeast suburbs. Okay, so you're not seeing like the impact of the home insurance that much because your home is smaller. That's good. So, maybe that might be, again, and I know it can be hard, right, in this market because a lot of these builders are not building smaller homes like that no more. Two, on a resale market, you're not seeing, these homeowners that might have bought houses back in the day when they were building, let's say, 2-bedroom houses or 3-bedroom houses or those smaller houses. Oh, wow, 535 square feet. Wow, that's really small. So is it 1-bedroom house or is it a 2-bedroom house? That's a small house, but hey, if it works, you don't have to worry about having a big house. It's probably better to have that. Your utilities are probably lesser. Your insurance, of course, I would say would be a little lesser. Your property taxes might be lesser too because of square footage. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud for you, MH8. So you might want to see that. So again, like if this is a good market for home buyers, again, it's all subjective to you as a home buyer, and you have to take all those factors into accountability. Where you live at, like MH08 has a 530 square foot house, so the square footage of the house, the neighborhood, the school district per se, right? Because if you guys don't know, a lot of those property taxes are kind of sucked up from the school system. So if you are in a good school district per se, the property taxes might be higher because of the school system. So you want to kind of look at that. So everything kind of depends. So again, if you are, like I said earlier, this might not be the best market to kind of see from a buyer's standpoint to see very clearly in, but this might be the market if you have the funds and if you have the monies and if you can sustain. This might be a market to buy in because a lot of people are not buying, right? So it could put you in a space where you can negotiate more. You have a higher negotiating power. You see houses sitting longer. You're like, hey, it's not moving. I'm willing to do this and this. MHOA said 1-bedroom and one. I might be able to use it as a bedroom. Nice porch though. Could use another 200 square feet. Taxes have skyrocketed. Woo. Even the taxes are high for a 535 square foot house. Wow. Yeah. So that's we got to do some with these taxes. And I know I can't do anything with them, but if we all come together, we can do something. But like I was telling, so this is my my own opinion, and you guys let me know how you feel. Like I felt like, and I think I said this earlier on the live. And what I'm seeing too, right? I saw when all of a sudden when the Feds lowered the interest rate to that 2% because of the unpredictability. That's what happened with the pandemic. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know people were going to still buy homes. They didn't know, what was happening. They lowered interest rates, and with them lower interest rates, a lot of people got into market, started buying and selling. I feel like the people that kind of started this whole housing increase as far as prices might have been more of the corporate investors, these and the people that had the money. And then once people kind of saw that, if the next door neighbor like, oh, they sold their house across the street for this, and maybe it was a corporate investor who sold the house, or maybe somebody that had money, and then people started looking at things, and the prices started going up higher and higher and higher. And then when that happened, that kind of, it messed up the housing market, because traditionally your appreciation of houses appreciate 3 to 5% every year typically. So all of a sudden you saw these big appreciation gaps of 75%, 50%, 100%, 200%. Like I've seen 200% appreciation. What did MHOA say? 1,400 this year was just under 500 just 10 years ago. Wow. Do you have any exemptions? Like, since you're a home occupier, you have a homestead exemption. I'm not sure of your age, but I know certain states and counties, you can get like senior exemptions, school exemptions. If you're a veteran, you get veteran exemptions. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll get back underneath that. What's that, a $900 increase? Did I do my math right? That's a lot. Like I said, I remember that in the past, I was very interested in foreclosures, but now foreclosures are costly. Instead of $30,000, it's like $300,000 now for the foreclosed home. Shake my head. Yeah, so that's the thing too, that people are not realizing too. Like a lot of these homes that are foreclosing currently, if there are a lot of foreclosures, a lot of them are recent foreclosures. They're not foreclosures from 10 to 20 years ago. These are homes foreclosing. And a lot of what I'm noticing too, that some of these foreclosed homes are like these younger investors who got in the market. I don't want to say I don't know, they might have been watching YouTube. They might have been taking investor classes online, and they turn around and try to, do their own flips and do their own investment. And then they run out of money. Their loan has matured already, because they only get a certain amount of time before they have to pay it back with the higher interest rates. And they're like, I can't do this. So then you get, then a lot of these things go to the mortgage foreclosure auctions. That's what I'm seeing down here in the metropolitan Atlanta area. They go to the auctions. They're higher in, the price point per se, because they have the loan on it that they took out. And then they can't do nothing with it. So you're getting, like you said, like you're getting on the foreclosure side, you're getting these houses being put on an auction now for 300-something thousand, 100-something thousand, 200-something thousand, because they have a current loan that the loan is trying to recoup, their money, the lien against the house. The best bet to go nowadays would be kind of look at the taxes, but of course you kind of want to still, be leery about it, but look into that a little bit more. And then also understand the parameters around, doing tax sales. He said, look up Colorado, was it Gallagher? Am I saying right? Gallagher amendment. They repealed it a couple years ago, causing our taxes to go up, to skyrocket. Wow. Oh man, he said, LOL, where am I moving to? David, oh my. You might be moving to Nebraska. I don't know. But yeah, like Ling was saying, so like I would say, as far as this market, to kind of recap what we were talking about, he said, forgot to plug your Tuesday stream over at Christina's. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right, David. We always will support David. So if you guys don't know David Matney, he comes on after Jen Sylvester on Tuesdays. So definitely support him. He comes on 8 p.m. Eastern time on our time. So if you are, want to hear more about what's happening in Omaha, Nebraska, or just give an insight about real estate, Dave is a great person to check out as well. Outside of, Christina, Jackie, Jen, all these wonderful realtors on here that are giving you the real and informing you and being transparent about the situation. So that's what I like about this gang of realtors on this, on YouTube, as far as talking real estate, because we want to inform you. We want to be real with the information. We want to not be knowledgeable. We don't want to fearmonger you, right? But we want to make you be prepared enough so when you're ready to do so, you're right. You have the right tools, I would say, in your tool belt, right? So again, in regards to, is this a great time to buy? It all depends on you, as far as where you're at with your space, where you're at with your finances. Dig into that a little bit more. If you need someone to keep you accountable, if you're looking for a financial coach, I will have a finance coach. She's supposed to join me March the 2nd. I believe it's March 2nd. Let me look at my calendar. She's supposed to join me March the 2nd on here. She is with an organization called Operation Hope. I strongly advise people, if you are looking for, March 2nd. Yeah, so hopefully she still comes March 2nd, because I know she does have a little one. I want you guys to really, look at that first. A lot of what I have been noticing lately, and we'll dig into it real quick before I get off of here. I said, thank you, David. He said, in the future, I would love to have you, I guess, as a guest. Thanks for your support. Of course, anytime. Thank you for coming on here and supporting the live stream all the time. I truly appreciate it. And I will be a guest, and I want you to be a guest over here too. I actually was going to reach out to you for this live, but the week had went crazy. I'm currently, I'm working with another client right now as far as on the buyer side. So it's been a crazy weekend, and I hadn't had time to reach out to you, and I didn't want to reach out to you in the last minute, come on here. So I was like, but I definitely would love to have you on this stream as well, to talk about what you're seeing in Nebraska, because it's very informative for people to know what's happening in the different local markets. But I appreciate your support, David, MH, Lang, Christina, and Eddie Smallhorn, James, which is my dad, for coming on here tonight, and everybody else that's tuning in that might just be watching, but they haven't, put anything in the chat box. But don't be scared to chat with us. We know the chats amongst us, amongst the community. But yeah, so I guess I'll wrap it up, and I'll just say a couple more things in regards to if this is a good time for you to buy and what I'm seeing. So what I'm seeing now is that I'm seeing a lot of different investors, what they're doing. He says, stand by, Clark. What's going on, Black Phoenix? Long time. Nice. Glad you made it over here to another live. He said, thanks, MHOA. So he said, questions for you. All right, shoot the questions. But yeah, what I'm seeing now is that I'm seeing a lot of these investors, they're reorganizing. Some of these bigger companies, these corporation companies, they're reorganizing. They are starting to liquidate some of their portfolios and some of these communities and subdivisions that they bought. And with that, what that is doing, which people unknowingly don't see, is it's actually driving down some people's equity that might have bought last year. Their equity is starting to is going down, because I'm seeing, say somebody bought a house for $340. Now you have these corporate investors who might have bought this house for cash a year ago. They're now selling their house for, like, say, $300,000. And now the people who are homeowner occupiers, their equity is basically being stripped right there, right? But they're liquidating and they're reorganizing. And what they're doing is they're pulling out of certain communities where they're saying, like, this does not make sense. Even though I bought this house for cash, the taxes aren't making sense. The insurance one is not making sense. The price point in which I can rent at, I'm not, I might be cash flowing, but I'm not truly seeing enough cash flow that I want to pay, the people at my organization or a corporation per se. And because of that, they're pulling out of different communities, and it's starting to strip some people's equity and bring their home prices down. He said, Black Phoenix said, how soon after purchasing a home can you take out a HELOC? The HELOC has to do with the equity in your house. So I would definitely talk more about that with a lender. It just depends on, from my knowledge, it just depends on how much equity you have in your home. You can't just say if you bought the house for $300,000, you can't, if there's no equity in the house, you can't pull anything out of it. Because what the HELOC is the home equity, it's a home equity loan. So it just depends on, from my knowledge, again, I'm not a lender. I would say definitely talk to a lender about it. Just from my experience and from the real estate market from what I've seen, typically most people have to have equity in their house to be able to do that HELOC. I don't know what you've seen, David, if this is something similar that you've seen as far as that. But in that pandemic market, people could have did it. You could have bought a house. Let's say you could have bought a house January, you could have been pulling a HELOC out, because I think it's like at least 6 months ish you gotta wait per se, but typically you have to have equity in it too. But you might be like, okay, I bought the house in January, and in July I bought it for $300,000. Now in July the house is worth, according to the market per se, is $350,000, $360,000. It has to be like the equity in it, but it also, you have to be paying, like, your equity is based off of the your payment too. So I would definitely say ask the lender, get more specific about that. I'm a realtor, I'm not a lender, but I definitely would say, David said, great question. It's a wonderful question, but I would definitely, I wish he would have came on here when I had my lender on here that I talked to, Demetrius, because he would have gave you a more specific time. MHOA said, credit union called me to set up a HELOC 2 weeks later. I lost the sewer line. What did they know? And when did they know it? Oh, so what happened? They said no to the HELOC because you lost the sewer line. Is that what you're saying, MHOA? David said, I'm not sure either. I would say talk to a lender on that one. Yeah, I would definitely say talk to a lender, Black Phoenix, just to get more info on it. But a HELOC is, like I said, is the home equity loan of credit, right? So you can't pull nothing out if there's no equity in your house. So if that's why I would definitely dig in further with that. If you have any other questions, let me know before I kind of jump off here. But I don't want to steer you in the wrong way. But I would definitely say dig in deeper and ask the lender, because they can give you more specific, more a breakdown of it. But I do know that you need equity in your house to pull out a HELOC. You can't pull out a HELOC if you don't have no equity. He said, no, I lost the floor line 2 weeks after they set up my HELOC. Oh, dang. Wow. That's ridiculous. So yeah, but so hopefully I don't know if I answered your question. I hope I did. I tried my best, but I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. I just want to, advise you the right way, but you definitely need equity for that HELOC. And like I said, they look at everything. They look at the equity in your home. They look at the loan to value ratio, all those type of things, right? They might say, hey, you bought your house for $300,000, but you paid your house, but you only have $100,000 left on your house. They might be like, okay, you can pull a HELOC out because that's some space in there, to pull out. That they might consider that like your loan to value ratio. I think it's a certain ratio that they do too. So I would definitely talk more to the lender. But if you just bought a home recently and you haven't paid anything down on the loan and there's appreciation going around you, you probably won't qualify for a HELOC. He said, I didn't have to use it. I did draw a check from the HELOC and then paid the HELOC off. He said, hello, it stinks some best. But he said it stinks of understatement. So funny. But yeah, so what I'm saying, so if you have any more questions, Black Phoenix, let me know before I jump off of here. I hope I was able to answer that a little bit. Can't really dig into like the specifics on it because I'm not a lender, but I can just give you kind of that surface situation as far as the equity needed to be in it. And then as far as like what type of equity loan to value ratio you have in it. He said, you did, thank you. No problem, no problem. So yeah, so I'm gonna finish off real quick and then I'm gonna jump off here. But when it comes to, like I said, what I'm seeing is that I'm seeing these investors, they're liquidating their portfolio, they're shipping things, they're reorganizing, they're coming up with a new plan, they're buying in different places where they're seeing more people kind of shift as far as they're trying to rent. They're buying around more of these school districts that are highly sought after. They're offsetting the rents and everything. And so that's what I'm seeing that way. What I'm currently seeing as far as sellers right now, they're looking to sell their property. And this is just from what I'm seeing right now from my experience. The typical seller that I'm knowing right now are sellers who own. Thank you, David. He said, great show tonight. Thank you, David. Thank you for joining me. Thanks everybody for joining. What I'm seeing as far as the seller side right now, I'm seeing that sellers are that are selling, that are listing their houses. They're either second-time home sellers that are downsizing per se. They have no mortgage, so they have equity. They're cashing out the equity in their home. They're putting down on another home less than what the house that they sold what their sold was, and they're trying to keep some equity in the bank outside of them paying for a new house in cash. Or they have two homes. They might be small-time investor, mom and pop investors. They might be offselling some of their homes. They might have a second home that they use. They're no longer using. Or I'm seeing distressed sellers, people that are going through probate, divorce sellers. That's what I'm kind of seeing right now that are sitting on the market. Or again, get some of these smaller investors who are flipping property, buying low, trying to flip renovations. They're going to pay with some of these renovations. Some of them are good though. I don't want to say that none of them, like a lot of them aren't good. There are about 10% that are good, that are renovated correctly, and I'm seeing that kind of hit the market. And those are what I'm seeing right now as far as selling. And it might be like maybe 2% of the homes that are currently sitting on the market might be people that are still living there, homeowners that are selling just to sell because they have to relocate or they just want another house. But I'm not seeing a lot of it on seller side. On the buyer side, what I'm seeing is that if there is a first-time home buyer, they are coming in. They're trying to grab the lower price points, but they're also coming in with a understanding of where they can purchase at, understand the clarity about their finances, their debts, and they're clearing. They either have less debt, they have enough financing, they feel secure in their job, and they're buying. So if you are trying to buy in this market, if this is a good top market to buy, then those are the things you'll look at. And then also what I'm seeing buyer-wise, that I'm seeing, again, older buyers who have houses, have equity in it, they're cashing out, they're downsizing, they're going to another house. Or I'm also seeing buyer-wise, investors. Some investors are still buying. So that's what I'm kind of seeing. So the question is, as we had on the live tonight, is this a good time to purchase a house? It all depends on you. And I don't know what the heck is happening with the housing market right now. That's why I have that on the screen. What is happening? I don't know what is happening, but there definitely is some uncertainty. So to be smart, if you are going to buy a house in this market, just make sure your debts are paid off if they can be paid off. Go in there with less debts. Hopefully have some type of security and where you're at job-wise. Of course, we don't know what will happen day to day, but hopefully make sure you're secure job-wise. And if you are going to buy a house, have enough savings. Just save. Have enough. If you can save right now, if you're renting, and if you can save, just save as much as you can save. If you're trying to buy a house to put you in a better space. But yeah, that's what I would say. If you have any other questions, if you need to reach out to me, my email is below. It's dclarktherealtor@gmail.com. One more question. You got me just in time. Last questions. What can you tell us about real estate investors and what they do? So what do you mean as far as that? As far as real estate investors, what do you want me to kind of say? What I'm noticing as far as real estate investors, like I kind of stated a little bit earlier, is that what I'm seeing corporate wise and what I'm seeing mom and pop wise. Corporate wise, I'm seeing a restructuring, a reorganization. All those corporate companies that bought in the height of the pandemic, and they're restructuring right now. So when it comes to real estate investors, what I can tell you about real estate investors in this current market is that the big corporate ones are restructuring or reorganizing, and they're buying in spots where the school districts are good. That's what I'm noticing, or where there is a upflow, I would say, as far as when it comes to college students, around areas where they know that they're going to get their money. They know that people are going to rent the units per se, the houses, the condos, the whatever they're investing in. That's what I'm noticing. So they're kind of pulling out from down here in Georgia. This is what I'm noticing. Okay, I want to be very specific. This is what I'm noticing in Georgia. They're kind of pulling from one area that's not making sense, where rents might be like lower per se, because that's what I'm noticing, which is interesting. The rents that their area they're pulling from are rents that are lower, but the school district might not be a good school district, so they're probably not seeing a good inflow of people moving in those districts, and they're shifting to, let's stay down here, they're shifting to like Gwinnett County, so like Alpharetta, over where I'm at, Cobb County. They're shifting over to like these more desirable per se counties where people kind of like the school system. And every time I get people that reach out to me, I don't do a lot of rentals. However, I do help people get connected to realtors that I know that do rentals. But I'm noticing that when people reach out to me, they want to be in certain counties, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, in certain spaces. So that's what I can say about real estate investors. The mom and pop investors, they're still out here buying, but they're just getting discounts. Everybody's going in for a discount now. Like, this is the market. Like, it kind of sucks to say this. The market is at a standstill when it comes to typical Americans buying right now. But when it comes to people who have money right now, they're digging into the market and they're eating it up. They're eating it up. People are still buying and selling in this market, and it's very crazy to me, But what I'm seeing is the people that are buying are these big time investors or people that have money. Like, this is one of the markets, even though it is a high unaffordable market as far as home prices right now. And the interest rates are are in a certain area where it's hard for people to afford. The people that got the money, they're on the sidelines, and they're cutting these prices, they're slashing these prices, and they're getting deals, because everybody is standing on the sideline waiting for something to happen. Meanwhile, these investors are like, hey, this is my opportunity. So that's what I'm kind of noticing: the restructuring, people buying, prices are getting slashed, people are getting deals. Like, I think last live I showed you guys, it was a house that was for sale, and I don't think this was an investor who bought it, but it was a house that for sale for $34 million, and I think they slashed it and they got it for like $17 million. Like, crazy. People, like, they're getting deals. This is the market to get it in, honestly, He said, what can you tell us about real estate investors and what they do? He said, got it, thanks. They're buying up Birmingham and Trustville area as well? Yeah, so yeah, that's what they do. I guess that's what I can tell you about them, and that's what they do. They're going in there hard. They're jumping in. They're getting deals. Some of them might buy them and hold them. I've noticed people, as far as investors, they even did it during the pandemic. There's a lot of houses down here that look abandoned. You drive by them, you look them up in the tax records, and an investor has it. You call the investor, they said, "No, I'm holding it. I'm holding it." They don't want to, don't want to get rid of it. These are like the more seasoned investors, like these poor investors, the smaller investors that are just learning how to invest. The investors that are going like taking courses or looking at TikTok and YouTube trying to figure out how to invest. Some of them are falling short. I'm gonna be honest. Some of these newer investors that don't really understand the numbers, or they might think they understand the numbers and they don't understand everything that comes along with investing, because people don't realize when you buy investment properties, and if you do decide to rent them out, you didn't have to come into a whole system of building inspection, the codes, the different things that that needs to be done in order to put people in these houses. So like now there's a whole new thing where a smoke detector has to be in every bedroom, every certain room in a house. Now you have, if you have a water tank, you have to have an expansion tank. Now if you have you have to have in certain rooms, you have to have sprinkler systems. So it's so many different like new codes, up-to-date codes, that when some of these newer investors that might just be hitting the market, that might have been just looking at YouTube or taking courses, and they hitting the market, and then they're discovering like, oh, this polybutylene piping might not be able to exist in this house anymore. Oh, this electrical system, they want me to put this up to date because I'm renting it out now. Oh, so you get so many things. You're like, wait, nobody taught me this when I was taking these online courses around investing. So I just tell people, like the newer investors, I'm seeing what's happening with them. A little bit of them is that they got into the market. They don't understand real estate truly because they haven't really sat down and talked to a real estate professional, a person that has truly invested. I would definitely say get a mentor that's investing. Sit down with them, follow them, mentor them. Shadow them per se, and see what they do. Successful ones that's been investing for at least a good like 3 to 4 plus years, that successfully done it, so they can kind of tell you the pitfalls, what they've gone through, what they've experienced, and how they successfully have done it. I would suggest, even if you are taking these online courses, or you're looking at stuff and you want to become an investor, or you want to buy land and you want to build and all that stuff, you need to talk to somebody that's experienced it already. It's great to get information offline. It's great to to read and everything, but experience is the biggest education that you can ever have. And the small little nuances and things that happen throughout the process that you might not know of. And everybody online, including myself, we don't always go step by step through everything of the process. So it's always key that if you can talk to somebody that's done it, that is currently doing it, I would say still doing it, because there's a difference between someone that has done it and someone that is currently doing it. Because someone that has done it in the past, again, the code inspections, the enforcements, all those things have changed. Regulations on housing, on land, there have been updates done. So you want to work with somebody that's currently in the market doing it, because if not, like I'm saying with some of these newer investors that are kind of getting into space, their houses are going up for foreclosure, and they're on an auction, and I'm calling them like, hello, and they don't, and I guess their butt hurts, so they don't want to pick up the phone, and then they go to auction and they get sold. So that's what I would say. I guess I would say, as far as real estate investors, what they do. Hopefully that answers the question, Black Phoenix. But again, I appreciate everybody for joining me tonight. I'm live every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. To 7:30 p.m., or we might go longer, as you can see tonight. But next Sunday is I will be back on next Sunday. Hopefully, I'll have a guest next Sunday to join me next Sunday. But if not, the following Sunday, March 2nd, I will have a guest from Operation Hope. So again, if you guys are looking for a financial coach, someone to help you with your credit, with your budgeting, and all these things, I would definitely say be on that live, ask a lot of questions, because she has some very great tips to help you when it comes to financial things. And if you are trying to buy, or even if you're a homeowner right now, or even if you're just want to budget and everything right now, like I take one-on-one workshops with her every month, because I want to pay down my credit card debt, because I am a human and I got credit card debt, y'all. So I'm on there, I check in with her every month to do so. So definitely be there. Thank you, Black Phoenix. He said, Clark, we need to meet in person. Yes, let me know anytime you want to meet. If you're in Atlanta, definitely stop by. The farthest I haven't made it to Alabama yet. I think you were in Alabama. I think you're in Alabama. I haven't made it to Alabama. The farthest I'll go as far as Georgia has been Villa Rica. I do kind of want to travel to Alabama. I have a client that I'm trying to work with. She actually lives in Birmingham, Alabama, but she keeps ghosting me because she has a property down here that went through probate, and she keeps saying that she wants to sell it. And then when I say, hey, I need to get inside the house, to tour the house, you know, I want to meet you in person. Like, I like to meet people. I like to talk with people in person before I do any real estate with them, whether it be virtually or in person. I prefer in person, honestly, but virtually too, just I can get a feel, you can get a feel of me, and see if this is a good partnership, right? Because what in real estate is a partnership. It's not I'm on top of you, you below me, and vice versa. It's a partnership. And so we want to meet eye to eye and make sure we can work together to help each other, right? Because I'm not only helping you, you are helping me too, right? So MHOA said, my best friend was a flipper. I don't have those skills. Inspectors were impressed with the quality of his work. When you get some good flippers, like MHOA said with his best friend, I've seen it too, where I've had inspectors come and check houses, and they're like, "Ooh, they did a good job. They got this lining underneath the house. Like if you have a crawl space, I don't know if they have crawl spaces in Colorado and Denver, MHOA, but they like the lining underneath there for like the water and all this stuff, and they be like, oh, they are like the plumbing, the electric. Some home inspectors are thoroughly impressed. So that's a good MHOA. You had a good one of your friends. That's a good investor and a good flipper. He said, thanks again. Thank you, David. Thanks. We can't wait. Great. How much is her workshop? Her workshop is totally free. And it's not a workshop. It's what she does is once a month. It's a counseling thing. So Operation Hope in totality, you would get connected to one that's local to your state. So it probably wouldn't be her, but I want to bring her on here because she can kind of explain it all because she's in Georgia. So, but Operation Hope, they have different branches in each state, and it's totally free. They help you with credit, financing, information. That's why I tell people, because I've had people who rented and they rented because of credit challenges and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, I went and I paid for a credit. What's those people? The credit people that make the credit, whatever. What's the credit people called again? I forget. People go and pay these credit people or whatever that say they can claim the whatever your credit, and then they end up not doing nothing with your credit or make it disappear for 2 months and then it's back on your credit. I tell people, talk to a real estate professional, see what type of resources they have in their back pocket. This is a resource that I had all along and she never came to me and talked to me. So now since I'm helping her again, the client again, because she wants to ultimately buy, I said, hey, you need to get in touch with Operation Hope. It's totally free. You're not paying for it. Stop paying thousands of dollars. Talk to somebody. Talk to people around you. You guys, we got to talk to people. Talk to people. That's the biggest thing. That's the reason God put all of us, all these wonderful people on the planet. They all have wonderful skills. They all have wonderful resources. We got to talk. Just talk. Ask questions. He did with the style class. Okay. And Lane said, great. I need that information. Yes. So join us March the 2nd. I pray to God she will still join us. You guys will get that information. Again, I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I know we said good night so many times, but this time I mean it. Again, thank you guys for joining me. I hope to see you guys next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. live over here on Clark, the Realtor YouTube channel, I guess. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.